Okay, we are ready to start our notebook. Open up, and today is going to be the start of the second page in our table of contents. We are writing on page 57 and 58. We are on Unit 5. Big 5. Our topic today is evaluating expressions. Make sure you get that written in your table of contents. Remember, your table of contents is worth 1 point on your notebook checks, and your notebook checks are worth a test grade. Okay, then we're going to move to 57. We want to make sure we label it evaluating expressions. And make sure you put the page number down at the bottom. This is page 57. You're going to glue in the page that looks like this. Mr. Fuller is letting me use his camera, so I forgot to bring my glue. I'm going to borrow some of his tape and tape mine in. But you should be gluing. Then go ahead on the next page. Make sure you number it. It's 58. And glue down the word problems. I'm going to give you 1 minute before I start. Make sure you've got yours glued in. All right, we are ready to get started. Okay, so today we're talking about evaluating expressions, and evaluating expressions you guys have been doing for a long time. Anytime you've done order of operations, you've been evaluating an expression. However, today the difference will be that we are going to have variables in our expressions, and then they're going to tell us what the variables are. They're going to give the variable a value. When you put a value in place of a variable, it is very important that you put the value in parentheses. We talked yesterday about how when a letter and a number are side by side, that means they're being multiplied. Well, if I have 4A, you know that I'm multiplying 4 times A. However, if I told you A equals 3 and you did not put it in parentheses, you just wrote it as 4, 3, you would not know to multiply those two things together like you would over here. This just looks like 43. So you have to put it in parentheses before you can solve it. Okay. Moving on to the examples. If A equals 3, solve 4A divided by 2. So I rewrite my question, 4A divided by 2. Then I substitute where I see A, I will put in 3. Make sure you don't forget about your parentheses. So I've got 4 parenthesis 3 parenthesis divided by 2. It's just like order of operations now. We're going to multiply before we divide. 4 times 3 is 12. Bring everything else down. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Make sure you circle your answer or box it in or make it a cloud. Moving on. If B equals 6, solve B squared minus 7. So I rewrite my problem, B squared minus 7. Then I put my number 6 in where I see B, and I'm going to keep it in parentheses. Bring my exponent minus 7. Now at this point I can see that I really didn't need my parentheses. They're not doing anything because there's not a number right next to it. However, in 7th grade, you start looking at negatives. And the difference between -6 in parentheses squared and -6 without parentheses squared, there is a big difference in that. So you still want to keep that habit. So we do exponent before we subtract. Remember, this does not mean 6 times 2. It means 6 times 6, which we know is 36. And 36 minus 7 is 29. Let's keep going. Next, if B equals 9, solve 8B divided by 12. So I'm going to write 8B divided by 12. Then I'm going to substitute in 9 where I see B. I'll put 8 parentheses 9, parenthesis divided by 12. I'm going to start with my multiplication. 8 times 9 is 72. 72 divided by 12. 72 divided by 12 is 6. I know we are getting crammed for space. Try to write neatly and try to write small. Next, if a equals 7, solve a squared plus 6. A squared plus 6. A equals 7, so I put 7 in parentheses squared plus 6. 7 squared, which is 7 times 7, is 49 plus 6. 49 plus 6 is 55. Next, if x equals 2, y equals 4, and z equals 6, solve 3z minus y plus 6. Plus x. Okay, I'm going to rewrite it. 3z minus y plus x. Then I'm going to use substitution. I've got 3 parentheses z, which we know is 6, closure parenthesis, minus y, which is 4. So we're going to put it in parentheses, plus x, which is 2. So we put that in parentheses. Now, if I'm looking at this, I know that what this really means is 3 times 6 minus 4 plus 2. So I know that these parentheses are not needed. They have an operation sign between the next number and itself. But this one, this 3 and 6, they don't have any operation. So that parenthesis is telling us we need to multiply. Just like up here, we knew a letter and a number were side by side, so that means to multiply. We start with multiplication. 3 times 6 is 18. Then I'm going to bring everything else down, but since I've already established that I don't need the parentheses anymore, I'm going to drop the parentheses. Then we've got subtraction and addition. Remember, subtraction and addition are on the same level, so you go from left to right. 18 minus 4 is 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. So that is my final answer. That one stretched our brains a little bit, but I know you guys can do it. Last example like this. If x equals 2 and y equals 4, solve y squared plus 6x. Okay. Y squared plus 6x Then we're going to substitute. Y equals 4, so I put 4 in parentheses. Make sure I put my square up there. Plus 6, parenthesis, x equals 2, so I'm putting in 2 and closing my parentheses. Now I can solve. I've got an exponent, addition, and multiplication. My exponent comes first. 4 squared is 16 plus 6, parentheses 2. I've got addition and multiplication, so I'm going to multiply. 6 times 2 is 12. Bring down the 16 plus. Last step, 16 plus 12 is 28. Okay, those are not so bad. These type of problems are going to be on our practice. You're going to get to practice on your own using Go Formative. Remember that I can see your Go Formative from where I'm at. So you want to make sure you're giving me 100% effort. I also want to remind you that you're on your best behavior so that tomorrow we can have the activity with the M&Ms. Okay, turn the page. Evaluating expressions really helps us with formulas. Here are some real-world examples. Use the formula P equals 2L plus 2Y to find the perimeter when L equals 3 and W equals 5. Okay, so this looks like it is a rectangle because the formula 2 times length plus 2 times width is telling us the perimeter of probably a rectangle. I want you to notice I've talked to you guys about not using L as a variable. The L they have used is a cursive L. Okay, that lets us know that it's an L, not a 1. Okay, my formula is P equals 2L plus 2W. L equals 3 and W equals 5. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2 parenthesis 3 close parenthesis plus 2 parenthesis 5 close parenthesis. Now I've got multiplication, addition, and multiplication. I'm going to do both of my multiplications since they're unrelated. They're separated by an addition sign. So just to speed things up, I'm going to do them both at the same time. 2 times 3 gives me 6, plus 2 times 5 gives me 10. When I add these together, I get that my perimeter is 16. This is a formula. I want you to go ahead and put a U behind it to signify that it is 16 units. Then we're still going to circle it, put it in a cloud, put it in a triangle, a rectangle, whatever works for you. Okay. The next one says evaluate the formula below when b equals 2.5 and h equals 4. This is the formula for the area of a triangle. They have written it out for us. A equals 1/2 b times h. We're going to go ahead and we're going to write 1/2 parenthesis b is 2.5, so we're going to put 2.5 close parenthesis. H is 4, close our parenthesis. You may use your calculators. 1/2 times 2.5 is 1.25. We're going to keep that in parentheses and put our 4 in parentheses. 1.25 times 4 is 5. So our area is 5 units squared. Remember that area is always squared. Perimeter is not, but area is. Number 3. The formula for area of a square is s squared, where s is the side length. Calculate the area of a square garden with a side length of 5 meters. They tell us the formula for area of a square is s squared. Then they also tell us that the side length of the square is 5 meters. So we'll substitute s for 5. Put that in parentheses. Bring down your square. 5 squared, we know, is 25. So the area would be 25 meters squared. All right. Next is probably one of the coolest formulas. I really like this one. It is the formula to convert degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius are what they use over in Europe and pretty much anywhere except for the United States. The United States is the only place that I know of that uses Fahrenheit. The formula is F, which stands for Fahrenheit, equals 9/5 C, which stands for Celsius, plus 32. What is the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit if the current temperature is 28 degrees Celsius? So we're going to rewrite our formula. F equals 9/5 C plus 32. Then we see that the current temperature is 28 degrees Celsius, so we put 9/5 parentheses 28 close parentheses plus 32. Now we have a multiplication and addition. So we're going to multiply 9/5 times 28. That gives me 50 and 2/5 plus 32. So that gives me 82 and 2/5 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, the last problem to do together is number 5. Number 5 says the formula to calculate the volume of a tint in the shape of a triangular prism is V equals 1/2 BHL, where H is height of the front, B is the width of the front, and L is the length of the tint. Calculate the volume of the tint that has a height of 3 foot, a width of 2.8 feet, and a length of 6 feet. Okay, so when we're talking about this tint, it is a triangular prism. Right here is the height. Okay, the height is from the ground to the very tip top. Okay, that is our height. Our base is down here at the bottom. This is our base. And our length is down here. I'm going to make my L a cursive L. Okay, now that's not super important right now, but when we start our geometry unit, that will be very important. So if you can remember those things, I'm laying down that base foundation for us to be able to calculate volume. Okay, our formula was V equals 1/2 BHL. I hope you guys remember to make your L in cursive. It's just a loop. Then they tell us our height, so H equals 3. Our width, which is also called our base. Our base equals 2.8. And our length equals 6. Now I have messed up all this down here because I had to use tape, but you guys can still see it. So we're going to go ahead and substitute 1/2 parentheses base, which is 2.8, close parentheses, open parentheses, height, which is 3, close your parentheses, length, which is 6, so open parenthesis, 6, close parenthesis. Okay, this is a lot of multiplication. Remember we talked about yesterday that multiplication is commutative, which means that you can multiply it in any order and you'll still get the same answer. Excuse me, you'll still get the same answer. So I'm going to double multiply so I can get it finished quicker. 1/2 times 2.8 gives us 1.4. I'm going to keep it in parentheses. And 3 times 6 is 18. I'm going to keep that one in parentheses. Then I'm going to multiply 1.4 times 18 and get 25.2. Since we're talking about feet, our label is going to be feet, and volume is cubed. Perimeter is nothing, area is squared, but volume is cubed. Okay, I know these have been a lot of notes. I hope that you have followed along. You have access to this video. I've also uploaded it to YouTube, so if you need to go back and look, you may look at any time at the notes. You may listen to the notes, but now you are going to be on your own. You are going to be on Go Formative. You are clicking on the assignment that says Evaluating Expressions. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.